Oh, hello. I'm back for more licensed video game shenanigans, this time branching away from American media for once, because everything I've covered for years now has been very American focused. So I thought I'd travel abroad to look at a licensed game series from a different country, in this case, the country of Japan. Because if you're not familiar with this background stuff I have going on here, I'm going to be looking at a series called Dr. Slump, which is an anime, which was started off as a manga series from Akira Toriyama. It's his first breakout hit. Akira Toriyama, of course, is known best for Dragon Ball and the many versions of Dragon Ball that we've had over the years. But before Dragon Ball, there was Dr. Slump, and it was a series featuring a little robot girl named Arale, spelled for Americans or for English speakers, spelled Arale. I guess you could pronounce that Arale, but that sounds really odd to me. So for me, it's Arale, because in Japanese, I guess the R's are tougher, so it's like Arale, Arale, somewhere in there. So anyway, this is Arale. She likes to poke poop. That's one of her funny and charming characteristics. I think for some people, they'll think it's gross, but I just think it's funny, which is what a lot of people thought, because it was an extremely popular manga. And as well as, and then it got adapted into an anime. And actually, we can look at a few things here to highlight the many versions of Dr. Slump in the early 80s, which is when this started. Real quick. Oh, not that. This one first. This is a page from the manga, translated to English, of course. This came out in the States, at least, in the early 2000s, like 2005, I want to say, around there. And so it was available to English speakers or English readers finally, because this series never did come to the US until very recently in any form. Here's an example page of this gag manga too. It's a comedy. Think of it as like for Americans, think of it as Animaniacs or Tiny Toon Adventures, The Simpsons, right? It's in fact more The Simpsons really, because it is a sitcom in that it's these characters in this place, and every chapter of the manga and every episode of the anime is with these characters in the same location. So it's kind of a sitcom situation going. But anyway, here's the manga version, which came before the anime. Here's an example of a gag where Arale and the eponymous Dr. Slump, who his name is not Dr. Slump, it's Senbei Norimaki, just like Arale is Arale Norimaki. But for some reason, they named the series Dr. Slump, because I guess he's in a slump. The idea is that he's this genius inventor who hasn't done much with his life, so he's in a slump, and that's where the name comes from. So they first this is after he's created Adelaide. They go to a cafe, the Coffee Pot, which is the cafe in this town, Penguin Village. They ask, "What would you like, Adelaide?" And she says, "Engine oil," because she's a robot, of course. And Senbei freaks out accordingly by immediately flopping to the floor. Very common characteristic of Japanese manga is characters to react in extreme ways. In this case, just flopping to the floor. So he's like, "Oh no, she'll have juice." And she's like, "Hold on a second. Are you sure that's going to work?" And then they ask, "How old are you?" She again Adelaide doesn't know how to respond yet, because she's just been created like an hour before this or something. And then this is the weird part too, is in the again, it could be any age. It looks like a little girl, but Senbei decides that she should be a 13-year-old. So in terms of she goes to school and she makes friends, and in terms of that, her friend group, they're mostly teenagers because they establish her age as like 13 range, even though, as the final panel here states, does not look like a junior high kid. So that's an overview of the a page of the manga. Now we can go to the anime. It's going to be all in Japanese, but it'll be the same scene that I just showed you from the manga, but the anime counterpart of it. The anime, I think, started in '82. So the manga was out for a couple of years. It was a huge hit immediately before it was finally adapted into an anime. You can see some of the character designs change a little bit. In fact, the anime, I think the creators of the manga were kind of upset because the anime wasn't completely faithful in some episodes. They kind of changed the storylines, and it was a thing for the Dragon Ball, which came later, where they retained more control because they wanted the anime to be faithful to the manga. But for Dr. Slump, it was a bit more loose. Although I would say still pretty faithful. I think it was still pretty close. They tried their best. All right, so there you go. That's the manga. That's the anime. Behind this series, Dr. Slump. And now we can finally jump to it. Let me see. Make sure I'm on the right page. Here we go. So finally, the point of this video. I'm talking about the LCD handheld games based on Dr. Slump. There were 6 of them in total. They were basically released in groups of 3, like 3 with 1 form factor, I guess we'll call it that, and then another 3 LCD handheld games with a different form factor. And yeah, the first series, according to the Dr. Slump wiki, the fandom wiki, they just call it Dr. Slump Arale series. And I can show you here because I bought one, of course. I always buy these to kind of, just get a handle on what they are. So the one I have is Encha Baicha, which is the 3rd one in the series. But yeah, if we scroll down a little bit here, we can get an overview of these. The first one being Hoyoyo Bomber. The second one is Gachan Kazi Kazi. Third one, the one I have, is Encha Baicha. Encha being the Arale's greeting is Encha, and she'll put her hand up and say Encha. And apparently it's a contraction, or it's a shortened version of Konnichiwa. And she just didn't know how to say it, I guess. So she says Encha, and then when she departs or she says goodbye, she says Baicha. So, and that's a big thing in the series. These Arale-isms, where Arale just makes up her own words for certain things, in a very cute, charming way. Oh yeah, Hoyoyo Bomber. So getting back to these first 3 LCD handhelds, we have Hoyoyo Bomber, which is Arale at the top of the screen. Well, I'll show you more footage to illustrate these better, but just know, yeah, there's 3 of them. The first one is Arale messing with Senbei. The second one features Gachan, who's a little like a Cupid-looking flying baby that they meet when they travel back in time. It's a whole thing in the series. But Gachan becomes like her best friend. They hang out all the time. They show up together a lot. And then Encha Baicha. This one's really funny because, again, you'll see shortly, but the point of that one is to like greet people or they get angry and punch you. So it's kind of funny there. All right, let's hop over to some images. Here we go. So this is the 3, the first 3 that were released. You can see here side by side, Hoyoyo Bomber, Gachan Kazi Kazi, and Encha Baicha right there. You can see, much like The Simpsons, which I already mentioned, this series has a big cast of characters pretty quickly. Like, this, Toriyama really establishes this model of like, well, doesn't establish it. It's, at least for Americans, we'd seen this before on like the Flintstones and the Jetsons, right? You have this group of people and then this expanded cast of characters around them. So it's a known thing by this point. But so yeah, I guess, yeah, Dr. Slump carries on that tradition of building out like the world and the characters and the cast, and all of them getting little moments to make fun of them, tell jokes. So there's the back of those boxes. Here's the box for Hoyoyo Bomber. The back of that one. Here's the box, more Hoyoyo Bomber. So you can see the packaging, the manual, etc. Here's the box for the second game, Gachan Kazi Kazi. Gachan, I haven't read the full manga and I haven't watched all the anime, but I watched a lot of it. And at least up to the point that I am, which is the end of season 1 of the anime roughly, they don't explain what is Gachan. He has little alien antenna and wings so he can fly. He can eat metal. He likes to eat metal, like inanimate objects, so he's kind of weird that way. Here's the box for the third game, Encha Baicha. There's a close-up of the Hoyoyo Bomber, like handheld, what it actually looks like up close. Here's another angle on Hoyoyo Bomber. Unopened. You can see here too, another interesting aspect, much like Game & Watch, I think, is Japanese LCD handhelds are tiny. You can't see it here, but I guess it's bigger than a credit card. It's certainly thicker, but they're just really small. Like American handhelds, LCD handhelds were just, big honking things full of air. And again, Japanese hardware design, at least for games and video games, was always just much more compact, which I wish we had gotten this, because I don't know, they're like, this fits in a pocket. Like some of those Tiger Electronics LCD handhelds, not so much. But yeah, there's one brand new in its packaging. It hasn't even been unsealed yet. And that one is a different game than the one I have. But yeah, it's Gacha and Kazikazi. There is, they do come in different colors as well. That was on the fan wiki page. It does point that out. But yeah, different colors for the handhelds. There's a screen showing. Based on this, you can tell that it's going to be Gachan versus Senbei. Probably Gachan annoying Senbei, and then you can see that other characters kind of show up on the sides, but that seems to be the main conflict here. And then finally, the third one, Incha Baicha. You can see there the screen showing all the different graphics or visuals in the game. Based on this, if I was to get, oh yeah, I already described this one. This is the one where Arale has to greet all these different characters from the cast. That's Nico-chan, that's Taro, that's Supaman. Supaman's great. I think he's a popular character. I forgot the little chibi devil kid. I forget his name. Senbei, and then Kiko. Oh, I can't believe I forgot her name. Another really funny character that shows up. But yeah, it looks like she has to greet them, and if they don't get greeted quickly enough, she'll get punched. Like they all punch her. That's weird. Here's another shot of Encha Baicha. Oh, that's why it's called Encha Baicha. Hello, goodbye. So she has to greet them, and yeah, conflict ensues when she doesn't do that. Wow, I have a lot of shots of this game. Oh, but this one for a good reason. That one's really clear. And because these are described as Game & Watch clones, you do see other functions in these games like time alarm. That was just something Game & Watch did. You had a time keeper and an alarm built in, so this one's no different. Another angle on Encha Baicha. Alright, well that looks like the end of my photo set here. So then if we advance, oh yeah, I have the manual from Encha Baicha, so we can kind of scroll through that real quick. You can see here my really, really nasty OCR translation of the manuals. I just ran them real quick through some OCR to get a better handle on what is being described. We can scroll past most of this, but I thought it would be interesting to point out some of the details, like some of the rules. Like I guess this doesn't really help explain anything, but at a high level, it's like, yes, it's showing you here, like you start off on the left, you kind of like make your way around the side. It's probably getting cut off a bit. Yeah, you can't see it too well. In any case, yeah, just know that there's these games do come with manuals. They do explain how to play these games, and it's kind of necessary. So many, I recently have purchased quite a few LCD handhelds, and you need the manual to understand most of the time you need something to explain, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What's happening? So I'm glad these older titles have really significant manuals, like a lot of pages explaining, don't do this, don't do that, don't put it in your back pocket, kid. You're gonna sit on it. Which what we've all had to relearn with like smartphones these days. Like, yeah, don't put it in your back pocket and don't sit down. Some technical stuff, scorekeeping, I guess. I guess if you and your siblings passed it around, you wanted to keep your scores. They give you a space for that. Legalese, etc. Okay. And I think that's it. Yeah, that was it for that set. All right, now, finally, we get to actual footage. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so this is this is the first one, Hoyoyo Bomber. Really simple. I think we've all seen this gameplay in older titles before, which is your character at the top, dropping objects, character at the bottom. Sometimes you are the character at the bottom trying to avoid them, and sometimes you are the character at the top trying to hit someone. So this looks like it's from the portion of Dr. Slump where they travel. They do this multiple times. They travel into the clouds where there are these, like, I don't know what they are. They're like Japanese folklore characters who I think cause thunder or control the weather or something. They're like horned mythological characters. So there's a point in the stories where they go up into the sky, and that's what happens. And that's what you're watching here, I think, in terms of the background and the setting. Doc Senbei is wearing his like caveman outfit because they also travel back in time at one point. So who knows what's going on? But that's the basic setup here. Is you're Arale, you're at the top, you're dropping poops because again, Arale and poop go hand in hand. She loves to poke poop. She likes to like throw it at people. She loves to threaten Superman with poop. He's like super afraid of it or something, or like most people, just thinks it's gross. So she chases after him with a poop and a stick, and yeah, that's her whole thing. So yeah, this is Hoyoyo Bomber. Very simple setup. Just drop stuff onto the character below and get some points for doing that. And then that character in the middle was the Time Slipper, which is the character, the invention by Dr. Slump, or by Senbei, that allows them to travel back in time. Ooh, it looks like Arale got taken out there. Okay, well that's the first one, Hoyoyo Bomber. Here we have Gachan Kazikazi. I'll link to the footage that or rather, I'll link to where I obtained this footage because it's already on YouTube. So I just decided, like, hey, well, if it's already there, let's just show you what's out there. This one, we talked about this, how the setup is here, and yeah, it looks like you are. Again, I don't have this one myself, so I can't confirm, but I would guess you're Gachan? No, actually, it looks like you might be Senbei. It looks like you're Senbei wearing a baseball outfit, and you and Gachan are having like a duel of objects. I can't see what he's throwing at you, but there you go. That's the second one. What else can we glean from this? Yeah, I think you are Senbei. It looks like Senbei's projectiles have an arc too. So you have to go up to the top, throw them over, whereas Gachan is just hurling them straight ahead. Let's see when somebody gets a point. Oh, 3 misses. Oh well. There you go. That's game number 2. And then game number 3, Incha Baicha. That's the one I have. And actually what you're seeing here is this used to be playable online on a website. What was the website called? I'll link to it. But somebody basically created a simulation of this game that you could play in a browser, which is no longer functioning because it was Flash-based. So, like any Flash object or any Flash website or game, those things are dead. You can't access them anymore. So, but this footage is of that. They built out a simulation. You could play the game in your browser. So here we can see that Arale has to like make her way to these 6 points on the map, greet the character. There he is. So you greet the character, they leave. And then you see that somebody's coming up from the bottom right. It's King Nico-chan, the pirate, space pirate. Greet him. Now you have 2 characters. I see. So the challenge is that you have different characters showing up at different times, and you have to get there quickly to greet them, or they punch you. Let's see if we see somebody punch her. Oh, yeah, there it is. So if you don't greet someone in time, they get angry and punch Arale, who's indestructible, by the way. Arale is an indestructible, super-powered robot that can like crack the earth in half. This is what's depicted in the manga and in the animes. She can punch the ground, and the earth cracks in half. So she's very strong. So this is a character. In my mind, she's a lot like Kirby, super powered, indestructible, but also super cute and charming. So you're like, yeah, you like her. But if you stop to think about her powers and what she can do, and she does do this. It's great, actually. She messes with the cops all the time because she runs so fast that she'll destroy every object in front of her. And so very often they show her running through the streets and destroying the cop car anytime it's on the street. So the cops are deathly afraid of her. And yeah, anyway, so just know that when she's getting punched in this game, it does nothing to Arale. The person who punched her, their fist would be aching and broken, but she would just go hoyoyo, which is another one of her things she says. Okay, so there you go. That's those 3 games. Now we're going to hop back over to this page. I want to go over to the second trio of games. So that was the first 3 games, which was under the Dr. Slump Arale series. Now we have Dr. Slump Penguin Village, which is this different form factor, which you'll see in a second anyway. Basically, it's still very tiny, as tiny as like the first ones, but it also has this flip up screen component. It's like I don't even know how, like it doesn't have a function really, other than being a cover, like a dust cover, but it does have this like little mirror with like little graphic on it of Arale, and what does it say? Penguin Village, Dr. Slump Arale Norimaki. So there you go. That's the form factor for the next trio of games. And on the cover itself, they'll actually have different visuals, and the cases will also have different colors, but yeah. So that's what we're talking about now. They also released in '82. That's worth noting, is that this company, Popey Electronics, slash Animest, it's not clear what the company name is, but they just dropped 3 of them, maybe at the early part of the year, and then by the end of the year, they had 3 more. So they were ready to go. No, that's not true. They were ready to go once the anime released. That's when all the merchandise happened, because the manga was popular, but I don't think companies were on board for the merchandise like video games until the anime dropped, and then that helped it blow up even more, and that's when the merch train got rolling. Well, yeah, what are these 3 games called? So we have they're all called Penguin Village, but the subtitles are Kaiju Asobo, Oha Konban Chiwa. That's the one I have. And we have one just called Wars, because you're fighting some of the villains that have showed up in the series by this point. So, Kaiju Asobo, a vertical scrolling game in which Senbei travels on board the Time Slipper. So that's that invention that lets them travel through time. In Oha Konban Chiwa, the one I have, not very descriptive. King Nico-chan and his servant show up. That doesn't help us. Well, we'll watch footage shortly. And then finally, the Wars one. The heroes confront the invaders. Oh, it's a specific story, or specific chapter from the manga in the anime, where these like alien invaders show up to take over the planet, but they're not very good. In fact, that's another element of this that I like, a lot like The Simpsons, where all of the adults, all of the people in charge are complete idiots. They're all totally stupid, and to me the message to kids is like, look at all these grown-up idiots who don't know what they're doing. It's a good lesson, I think. Kids should realize that everyone's a big dumb idiot. All right, so there you go. That's an overview of those 3. Now we're going to advance into some imagery. So here we have some of the boxes. The first one called, what was it? Kaiju Asobo. This is the box for that one. You can see here it's Arale and Gachan wearing penguin outfits for reasons. And then there's a little monster in the background, whatever that means. Here's the back of that box. We see a little more close up. Oh, it's right. So based on this scene, I can tell you that this square in the middle is the time slipper. It's like a mirror, and it's activated by the little time slipper guy here behind this text, slipping on it, and then that's what activates traveling through time. So, sure. And then you can see here they're fighting various like prehistoric enemies, it looks like. All right, what else do we have? Here's the box and the packaging for that one. That one, yeah, the one I got, this one is like the most boring case design. It's just white. It's just a white case, kind of boring. But this one's pink. I think it's better than white, that's for sure. There's some of the pack again. There's that. There's a close up on that one. There it is when it's open. You can see the background again, and that mirror I described, that visual at the top. Here is kind of the full layout of the scene. We have various I think it's just various kaiju monsters that show up in the series, because like the dinosaur in the top right is from the prehistoric time. The one in the middle here is Gamera. Like Arale is obsessed with like Godzilla and Gamera, the just Japanese kaiju. This is the dragon that belongs to the little evil devil kid. In the bottom left, we have this weird kaiju monster dude. And then on the left, I don't think I'm familiar with the bottom two, actually. Like, bottom left, middle left. I haven't seen them in the series yet, as far as I've watched. The guy in the top left is this kaiju character who shows up to destroy everything. And, of course, Arale being a super powered being of unlimited destruction, just completely wipes the floor with that guy. All right, here's the second one, Oha Konbanchiwa. That's the one I have. You can see here the packaging. Looks to me like they're going to go on vacation. I don't know if that has anything to do with the gameplay, but that's what the box cover looks like. All right, we'll go from there. There's a little close-up of the case. This one looks kind of dirty. Yeah, that was the problem, too, with buying copies of these things. Like, I only bought an example of each form factor, but and that's because it's very expensive, because most of the ones you're going to find at reasonable prices are funky looking, like the one on the screen. To get a nice, clean copy is just, a little pricier. So, yeah. But anyway, there's the picture I decided to put in front of your face. Gross copy. Or sunburned. You can see here this is yellowed because it's been out in the sun too long. Screen burn-in. Like that. Actually, both of the copies that I bought have that to some degree. I think it's just a case of the polarizer screen that has to be replaced, but yeah, they all seem to have that feature for some reason. Go from there. Here we have a close-up of. It must be the one I have. Yeah, same background. So, all right. So this setting. Oh, there's Toriyama's little character down the bottom right there, little robot with the gas mask. But yeah, this. I mean, you can see some of the characters here, but it's not enough info to really understand what the heck's going on. So we'll go from there. This is the best shot I could find of the third game, the one called Wars. Thus, the little cute character with like an assault rifle. Like, I don't know if that's a visual I need, but there it is. Also, the coolest case. This like bright yellow, this case color, like that's the one. If I could have found a copy of this at a reasonable price, I would have bought that instead. And yeah, this one looks like it's a war-based game. And you're going to be fighting this robot from Dr. Mashirito, I think it is. A villain. Just know that. It's a villain who builds robots. We can zoom in a bit here just to get an idea. And actually, these are all clones of Game & Watch games. This is a clone of that earlier game we saw where it was Arale and Senbei at the bottom. Now it's Arale at the top, dropping bombs onto the robot down at the bottom of the screen. So look at that, copying themselves. All right, so that was that one. Go from there. Go from there. Here we go. Here's a manual of the one I have, the second one called. What was it? Well, whatever it was called. We don't need to read it again. Yeah. So there's the manual. Is there anything useful here? I don't think there is. It kind of like it explains the layout of the screens, like what the heck's going on. It has a bunch of rules. You have to say hello. Oh, even this one's a clone. Wow, I didn't notice that when I was playing. Yeah, this is just a clone of the same one where you have to just greet everyone or they punch you. That's kind of funny. They just said, hey, we can just really milk this cow and do this again. Yep, all these visuals look similar to the last manual, so they really were just kind of redoing what they had already done with these releases, which is kind of a bummer. Or is there anything beyond this? No, that's the last one there. Okay, so now we just go on to footage. So let's disable that. Right, there's the first game of this trio, the Kaiju Asobo. Another one that's been pretty badly sunburned, it looks like. But you can see the original pink on the interior. All right, let's see. So you play as. It's another greeting one. Wow. Man, I thought I'd done all the research here, but yeah, I'm being pretty surprised here. This is just a clone of the one where you greet people. Except I thought Oh wow! So we're gonna have multiple games. Hold on, we'll see how it goes. Let's just get a bit more footage of this one. Kaiju Asobo. Is it frozen for you? It was frozen for me for a moment there. Alright, well if it's gonna keep freezing, we'll just... Alright, well you get the gist. You already saw the monsters. It's go around the screen, deal with these monsters somehow. Don't get hit. That was a hit. Alright, so that was Kaiju Asobo. Here we have the one I have. Oha Konban Chiwa. Which is Arale, going around the screen, on the moon. It looks like we're on the moon. That's King Nico-chan and a servant in the background. Let's just... It is! Whoa! It's the same game. So this is the third instance of this gameplay, where it's Arale in different positions. The visuals look different. This art, I think, looks better than the last ones we've seen, but it really is a matter of just go around the screen, greet characters as they show up, or they'll punch you somehow, or hurt you, and you'll take a hit. And you get a certain number of points per greeting, 10 points. Yeah, this one the perspective's a lot more pronounced, so the art, you know, from the distance to the close-up looks different, or looks more extreme than the previous ones. There's a few characters I don't know, I'm not familiar with yet. That was one of them. That kid in the lower right, the girl with like the hair, the Leia bun things going. That was weird. Oh, you took a hit. Alright, so that was game number 2 of 3. Finally, we get to the final game of this trio, Penguin Village Wars. Really zoom in on Arale holding that assault rifle. That's another thing that's interesting to watch. You know, seeing this game in the modern time is guns are everywhere. It's just again, I'll link to all the or source for these clips because some of them are interesting, like this one. I don't know why there's a gorilla hand and a gold claw, but there they are. There will be gameplay eventually, I think. There's some. Yeah, I really had not observed that a bunch of these games are just clones of each other. So it's not like it's not 6 original games in terms of gameplay. The gameplay gets repeated. I don't know. I feel like if you're a kid in Japan and your parents are buying you these games, it would be a disappointment to get another game. You're excited, you love Dr. Slump, and then you open it and you realize like, oh, it's the same gameplay as the last one I got. So yeah, weird choice, but I guess it saves you money if you're the people making this. So it looks like here you're defending the police station from the robot. You can see there some of the cast are there. That's the cops in the left window. That's Akane and Gachan, her friends, in the right window. In the middle one, it's Senbei again, and then it's, I don't know who the guy with the microphone is. Yeah, no clue. No clue at all who that's supposed to be. But yeah, there you go. That's the gameplay. You're just Arale moving around across the top of the screen. You're dropping bombs and stuff to take out the enemy. Oop, you took a hit there, didn't you? Okay, well I think let's turn that off. Let's just end on the anime, why not? Alright, well that's it for this video. That was an overview of the LCD games based on Dr. Slump. It's the first video of several where I'll be looking at all the different games based on Dr. Slump. These are the least video game because obviously there was no video component to the games, but after this, there are games that definitely require a video screen to play them. So there will be some actual video games after this, but that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you.